Hi guys, happy Sunday with Satan. Alright, so, yeah, a little bit of witchcraft history yesterday, so today we're going to go through, kind of a lower form of magic, talismans. So, this is lesson 7, part 3, page 302, and again, it is Modern Magic, the second edition, 11 lessons in the high magical arts, by Donald Michael Craig. One amazing man, and I really want to talk to him on the board. He has passed on, right? So, alright, I really want to talk to this man on the board because he is amazing. So, okay, talismans. We all have them. So a talisman is any object, sacred or profane, with or without appropriate symbols, which had been charged or consecrated by appropriate means and made to serve a specific end. So there we go. So the word talisman is said to come from the Arabic words talisma, which means magic writing. And however, there is no proof of this. It may come from the Turkish meaning one who is learned in divinity. A priest, likewise, the word amulet, is believed to be of Arabic origin. But again, there's no proof. So no one really knows exactly where either word came from. So, there we go. I like this. I love it when they... Yes, I love it when he does that. Alright, so... Today, talismans are used to draw things toward you, so their purposes include obtaining money, luck, health, or love. Amulets are used to keep things away. They protect us from evil or bad luck and help keep one from ill health. So in this course, talisman, with a lowercase first letter, will refer generically to both talismans and amulets. Generic. I hate that word. So talisman with a capital first letter will refer to an object used to draw something to you. Amulet with a capitalized first letter will refer to an object used specifically to keep something away. So like my lodestone would be a talisman with a lower or uppercase T. Yeah. Anyways, so where'd I go? Okay, so, yeah, for thousands of years, writing was a magical art, so it was held in secret by the privileged classes and magicians. So it was believed that certain symbols had magic power in and of themselves. So this tradition has been carried even into modern movies where Count Dracula cringes in fear from the very sight of a cross. Vlad. I'm so, I don't know if I'm happy that Vlad is in my family tree, or if I should be concerned. Thus, symbols placed upon a rock or a piece of parchment were, of themselves, considered to be powerful. So this is what a lot of people call animistic magic, or theory of how talismans work, animistic theory. So today, many magicians do not believe in this theory. Rather, they take what we call the energies theory of how talismans work. They believe that the charging of the talisman is the important part, putting magical energy into the object chosen to be a talisman. So, the time taken to carefully put the proper symbols on the object is a good way to create and send energy. Mix this with the energy raised and directed during a ritual, charge the talisman, and it's no wonder that this technique of magic is powerful. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry guys. Alright, so do not doubt that talismans, if properly made and charged, are powerful. So here are 3 instances of which Donald Michael Craig is personally aware. 1. M had been divorced and was looking for a new mate for her life. She followed the instructions in this course. Within days, a man came into her life who fit virtually all of her desired characteristics in a man. They dated for a while and were married. 2. N was taking this course in Southern California area. In the class, after the one on talismans, she told Donald Michael Craig that she was and that she would have to drop the class. When he asked her why, she replied that she had been trying to sell her mobile home for 6 months without luck. She tried making a talisman to help her sell her house. The house sold a few days and she had to prepare to move. It's very interesting stuff. So, here's 3. Alright, now Q was studying at a major university while he was also taking these classes. So he asked how long talismans could help him to study and learn for a test he would be having in 2 weeks. So Donald Michael Craig gave him advice on what type of talisman to make. Later, however, he had to give more help. He had made a talisman to gain knowledge and information, but he had charged it improperly and too soon. He found that his head was filled with data which had nothing to do with the test, and he was going to take. I gave him more help, and he did very well on the test. Very interesting. Very interesting. Intention. So, as discussed in the previous section of this lesson, practitioners of the art of low magic were closer in spirit to nature than most of the high magic practicing counterparts. So notice that he used the past tense in the previous sentence. Today, many low magicians live in large cities and know little of nature's majesty. Luckily, I live out in the middle of nowhere, and nature is wonderful out here. So, alright, many who call themselves witches or pagans are nothing more than people practicing a simplistic form of high magic. However, this in itself should be considered a small miracle, as most who consider themselves to be high magicians do not practice any type of magic. This means that if you practice magic as described in these lessons, you will truly be a real practitioner of art magic. Looking back at the pagans of an earlier time, we said that most, if not all, were in harmony and close communication with nature. They easily saw that all things on this planet were composed of 4 categories. Everything had degrees of hotness or coolness. Copying the early high magicians, the alchemists, they called this the element of fire. Things could also be more or less solid, earth, had varying degrees of fluidity, water, and various degrees of compactness or expansiveness, which would be air. So we have already discussed these 4 elements. In fact, you should by now not only be in harmony with these elements, but you should also have some degree of success in being able to control them. So the whole fire, very successful with that. With the candle flame, manipulating it to get it to go higher, lower. I wish I could do it to light a candle, but yeah, no. So although the main focus in this course is high magic or ceremonial magic, being able to work with the elements is a basis for all forms of magic. So to a real magician, terms as high magic, low magic, art magic, etc. are terms used only to help others understand what you are doing and to enable you to better communicate. So to a real magician, the important question is not whether is it high or low, but did it work or not. That's always my concern. So with this in mind, I want to discuss another disagreement that magicians have with another set of people. So these people have their minds open to new ideas. So as long as those ideas fall into their belief patterns, he says, no, I am not talking about religious fanatics, I'm talking about scientists. As stated before, many scientists tend to scoff at this simple 4-fold division of matter. Modern science points to its own periodic table of elements and says, we can prove the existence of 100 elements. So this, according to the modern scientists, makes the old 4-element theory obsolete superstition, which is complete nonsense. So, the 4 elements, really 5 elements, theory does not define element the same way modern science does. The 4 elements define the properties of matter, not its chemical makeup. Gold is an element in the modern scientific sense. In the 4-elementary theory, or perhaps 4-quality theory would be a better phrase. So, gold has relative amounts of fire, air, earth, and water. Therefore, both the ancient 4-element theory and the modern scientific theory of the elements can coexist with no problem, so long as you understand that the word element has a different meaning for scientists and for magicians. So I feel that it is important to understand these differences, which is why he says, I have represented this material at this time. Pretty different. So you have probably heard of a person obtaining the lock of a person's hair to use as a basis for casting a spell upon the person from whom the lock of hair was taken. So the hair does not merely represent the person from whom it was taken, but it is actually said to be in sympathy with that person. So here the word sympathy has the earlier, somewhat archaic meaning of being closely related, and not the modern meaning of feeling sorry for someone. So, or having similar feeling or emotions as another person. So this is the reason that this type of spellcasting is frequently called sympathetic magic, because it's closely linked and related. So, other things could be used to represent and be in sympathy with another person. A picture, a piece of clothing, pairings from the person's finger or toenails, a drawing or a doll could be also used to relate to this person. So expanding on this, we can find that there are many things which correspond to a person. Pretty neat, pretty interesting too, when it comes to the lock of hair and the doll. So it is this way that lists of correspondences can be set up, as with the list of Kabbalistic correspondences given earlier in this lesson. So, the 4 elements have correspondences too, so here's a list of some possible correspondences. So we have air, a feather, incense of the colors blue or gold, earth, a rock, pentagrams in the tarot, the colors brown, black, or green. So that would be me because I'm an earth sign. Fire would be a piece of coal, a match, the color red, or a reddish orange. Interesting, I like that. Water, a pebble found near or in water, a shell in colors blue, black, or green. So notice that in the above short list there is a duplication in the use of colors corresponding to the elements. This is not a mistake. Rather, it allows you to choose which system of color correspondences you wish to use. So, just as in the above list, certain objects correspond to one of the 4 elements, so too can the elements relate to a variety of ideas, as in shown below. Alright, so we have air, which is schooling, memory, intellectualization, teaching, tests, divination, communications, travel, writing, organizing, and organizations, grouping of all kinds, theorizing, and drug addiction. Oh, okay. Earth, money, jobs, promotions, business, investments, material objects, fertility, agriculture, health foods, ecology, conservation, stock market, antiques, old age, museums, buildings, construction, progress, the home, the physical world, daily necessities such as food and clothing. So, and then we have fire, which is success, sex, banishing some illness, military conflicts, protection, courts, law, police, and sheriff's agencies, contests, competitions, private detectives, PI, dowsing, treasure hunting, gambling, athletics, strength, good health, war, terrorism, and on a more personal level, anything related to the Freudian id, the id, the ego. So, which is the lower emotions of absurd desire and lust. That is too much desire or lust. Anger, violent emotions are also things having speed. So, water, higher forms of love and the deeper emotions such as compassion, faith, loyalty, and devotion. Also friendship, partnerships, union of any kind, affection, contract negotiation, beauty, rest, recuperation, meditation, spirituality, healing wounds, restoring growth, childbirth and children, the home, receptivity, family, swimming, divining, fishing, ancestors, medicine, hospitals, compassion, doctors, nursing, clairvoyancy. Alright, so now notice that a few of the listings above seem duplicated, appearing as more than one of the 4 elemental categories. As an example, the home is listed under earth and water. Again, this is not an error. Here it allows you to more closely define the terms. Under the element earth, the home refers to a structure, the building wherein you live. So under the element of water, the home refers to the qualities of home life, love, stability, and support, etc. So, you could probably add many other ideas to this list as a result of your working with the elements over the last few months. This is highly advisable. What you might do is start a small book with precise definitions of what the elements respond or represent to you. So, where'd I go? Oh. So use the above list as a starting point and expand upon it. And no, the above list is not written in stone as immutable law in some dank cave in the Himalayas. So if you want to remove something from the above list or place it under another element, make sure you're right. Then go ahead. With the above information, you now have a system for making of talismans. Alright, so, do you guys make talismans ever? Use them? So, alright, do you need help with the test? Make a talisman of air. Do you need more love? Make a talisman of water. Is there too much anger and violent emotions in your family life? Make an amulet of fire. If you need more money, a talisman of earth should do the trick. So, now that you know on which element to base the talisman you wish to construct, the next question is, what is the first step for constructing a low magic talisman? So, whether you're doing low magic, high magic, or any other magic, if you are doing something to affect yourself or someone else on this plane, this is, if you are doing gray magic, always begin by doing a divination. So he says, I cannot stress this sufficiently. So, one law, which everything in our world must live by, is the law most commonly called of karma, the law of cause and effect. Every action you take has its own consequences, which will come upon you, whether you are prepared for those consequences or not. So practitioners of low magic tend to go one step further than the as you shall so shall you reap idea of karma. So they say whatever you do will be returned to you threefold. I hate that. This is threefold law states that if you do something good, you will be rewarded with a similar amount of good 3 times over. However, do something negative and you will be rewarded with 3 times as much bad coming your way. And karma is carried over from one life to the next. Suicide or death does not expiate karma. I do not believe in the threefold law whatsoever. So let's say that you want to leave the country but need a great deal of money to do so. You make a talisman to get money. Shortly after you learn your parents have been in an accident and died, leaving you a large inheritance. Oh God. You have done great magic and helped yourself on the physical plane by getting the money. But your talisman may have been responsible for the deaths of your parents. So your magic was definitely of the blackest kind. That'd be sad. I couldn't do that. I would not live with myself. I couldn't do it. So karma is immoral, meaning it has no morality. It is perfectly and totally just. There are no exceptions to the law of karma any more than there are exceptions to the law of gravity. If you do black magic, whether or not you originally intended it to be black, you will pay for it sooner or later. So I am therefore urging you never to do black magic. I do so not on any moral grounds, although I am ethically against black magic, he says, but for self-protection. So, in the above case, the talismanic had no way of knowing whether or not the gray magic would become black. What should have been done first, therefore, was a divination to see whether or not it would be a good idea to do the talisman, and what the outcome would be. By doing this, you can protect yourself from accidentally doing black magic and having to suffer the consequences. That would be the worst consequence ever, living the rest of your life knowing that. It's terrible. That'd be terrible. Alright. So before doing any gray magic, always do a divination. So the next step in making a low magic talisman is to find an appropriate object to use for the talisman. So given just before the above correspondences for the 4 elements are different objects which can be used for the making of talismans associated with the elements. However, any object may be used. A rock painted red can represent fire. A necklace or a ring can be used. So put a coin in the refrigerator for an hour, take it out with your left hand. Now put it in your right hand. You will find, of course, that the coin has gotten warmer than it was when you removed it from the refrigerator. The coin has been infused with the energy in the form of heat. So, likewise, virtually anything in this world has been infused with various types of quantities of psychic energies. Perhaps you have gone on a vacation and been in an utterly magnificent hotel room, yet the room had a funny cold feeling and uncomfortable compared to your far less luxurious home. This is because your psychic energies have not infused the room as they have your home. So, this is why even if your home is a dump crawling with bugs, it can still feel like your home. So you would have to live in a place for days, weeks, or even months before that new house or apartment becomes your home. So imprints, psychic imprints. So even small objects pick up psychic charge from their environment. So therefore, before using any object as a talisman, it must be purified, cleansed of any unknown charge of psychic energy. So this is easy to do. Hold the object to be used as a talisman under running water. For this purpose, you can use water coming out of a sink faucet or garden hose, or more traditionally, a stream. Hold it there for about 3 minutes while you visualize all the energies within the object flowing out of the water. Do not use the waves of the ocean for this purpose. So as the waves just keep coming back and would return the object, you have chosen the energies you wish to cleanse. Makes sense. If the object will not last well under flowing water, bury it in the ground for at least a half an hour, preferably overnight. So, our Mother Earth has a natural ability to ground out energies which are unwanted. So we now have an object painted an appropriate color, if you so desire, which had been purified and is ready to be charged. So the ancient pagans were too busy working in the day to do magic during the sunlit hours, so holidays must be celebrated during the day. But gray magic was not usually done on festivals. Thus it has become traditional to do low magic at night. So the best sites to do low magic are: first, outside with a clear view of the moon; second, outside without a view of the moon; third, inside with a view of the moon; fourth, inside without the view of the moon. So the moon, representing the goddess aspect of divinity, was also seen to be a key force in magic of all kinds. The phases of the moon. The phases of the moon were guides as to what your magic could do. During the waxing moon, the period from first sight of the new moon to the full moon, magic should be done to draw things toward you. Therefore, talismans should be made during the period of the growing moon. The strength of the moon will be at its height at the moment of the full moon. Amulets should be made from the day after the full moon until the moon is no longer visible. This phase is known as the waning moon and reaches its strength during the dark of the moon, that is, when the moon is not visible. So, if someone is ill and you wish to make a talisman to aid the person, you can make a talisman for health during the waxing of the moon. If the moon is waning, you can make an amulet to cause disease to leave. So determine the phase of the moon and plan whether to make a talisman or an amulet accordingly. So, yeah, I mean, you can make one even without the phase of the moon. So you don't even have to take the phase of the moon into consideration. I mean, I do at times, but... So if you are not familiar with astronomy or astrology, you may wonder how quickly to determine the phase of the moon. The full moon app for iPad or iPhone, that's what I use. The Witch's Almanac, or the Farmer's Almanac. So even if you do have an astrological calendar which clearly tells you the phase of the moon, although you should probably attain one of these useful tools, there is an easy source for this information. Your daily newspaper tells you when the sun rises, when the moon rises, when it goes away, and everything, what phase, at what degree. So, usually near either the weather section or near the sports fishing section, you will find some rather silly looking drawings of the man and the moon. So these will tell you the days of the full, new, and quarter moons. With this information, it becomes easy to determine the phase of the moon. Or if you can actually just tell, or if your intuition just tells you what it is. Which usually I'm pretty good at knowing when. I think we're all pretty good at knowing when the moon is full, or when Mercury is in retrograde, or something like that. So, most pagans, both past and present, do not like the morals and ideals of others foisted upon them. As a sign of their independence and freedom, many practitioners of low magic Prefer to work sky-clad, that is wearing only the sky, nude. While this does cut down on clothing bills and cleaning expenses, it can also cause a problem for those who wish to work outside in their backyard due to prying neighbors. For me, it'd be people filming me or taking pictures of me. Not gonna happen. It could, but it's not gonna. So, if you cannot walk or work sky-clad, or would feel strange, or you're inhibited working without clothes, then by all means do wear your special magical clothes or robe. So set up a small altar. You can use a table, chair, tree stump, or flat rock, but orient it so that when behind it, you will be facing north, not east. So on the altar, have the objects that you wish to use as a talisman, plus candles of the appropriate colors and incense if you like. So you are now ready to begin the ritual, which will charge the talisman and make it a powerful magical tool. So now, before going on, did you remember to do a divination first? Hopefully you did. If not, do it now. Remember to word the question of your divination in the form of, what will the outcome of my making an talisman amulet for the purpose of fill in the blank. So, alright, now the following ritual is far more mental than verbal. In fact, in this ritual there is little to say, but many things to do. Alright, so I really like this one too. It's actually really good. Alright. Step 1. First, you should purify yourself in your area. Visualize a brilliant white, some say violet. I like the violet. Light coming from the ends of the universe, going to the top of your head, down through your feet into the earth. As it does so, realize that this pure light is taking with it all problems and impurities, which may have been within you and on your mind, either consciously or unconsciously. Next, visualize a bright white light forming a ring about your now purified self at the chest height. Now see in your mind's eye the expansion of the light, or of this light of pure white brilliance, so that it forms a circle around you 3, 5, 7, or 9 feet in diameter. So the size depends upon the space available to you. Okay, so finally the circle should expand above and below so that you are surrounded above, below, behind, and to the front with this white or violet light. You should be in the center of a brilliant sphere of white or violet light. What's going on here? There we go. Alright. Where did I go? Okay, so if you prefer more ritualism, you may mix the works in the above paragraph with the following in ritualism. With the following. So if ritualism is not that important to you, you may ignore the following 4 paragraphs. Yeah, I would definitely ignore the following. No, not really. So maybe. You will need a stick of incense and a small bowl of salt and another small bowl of water. Light the incense and hold it in front of you. Remember that you should be facing north and say, "Behold, this is the union of fire and air." Next, put 3 pinches of salt into the water, or use the tip of your magical blade to pick up and pour 3 measures of salt into the water. Hold the mixture up and say, "Behold, this is the union of water and earth." So, now move to the north side of the circle with the stick of incense. Hold the incense in front of you and say, "I purify the north with fire and air." Walk clockwise to the east. Hold out the incense and say, "I purify the east with fire and air." Continue in a similar manner at the south and west, and complete your circle by returning to the north. Now go back to your altar, replace the incense, and pick up the mixed water and salt. Go to the north portion of the circle. Dip your fingers in the salt and water solution and sprinkle it toward the north 3 times, saying, "I purify the north with water and earth." Continue sprinkling as you move to the east. Stop here, sprinkle 3 times as you say, "I purify the east with water and earth." Continue in a like manner to the south and west. Complete the circle by returning briefly to the north, and then return to the altar. Now repeat this entire sensing and sprinkling process, except instead of using purify, use the words sanctify. Hence, "I sanctify the north with fire and air," etc. So, Again, you may mix two methods of purifying yourself, and the area of use, either the mental or ritual procedures. You don't have to use both. So, we have choices, good choices. So, as an aside, some self-professed pagans who abhor anything which hints at ritual magic or Kabbalism clear their area with the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. While there is nothing wrong with this practice, it is certainly not part of any ancient Wiccan system. Wicca is not ancient. So those who practice magic should be open to all possibilities. So people who use Kabbalistic methods, while decrying Kabbalism, should seek out the motive for their hypocrisy. I like that. Alright. Now step 2. After purifying and clearing your circle, the next step is to grab the moon. Here, what you must do is take the essence of the magical nature of the moon, the goddess aspect of divinity, into your hands and place the nature into the talisman. So, at the same time, you must charge the nature of the moon with the purpose of the talisman. To grab the moon, we use the gesture known as the triangle of manifestation, which was described earlier in this course. So to refresh your memory, this action is made by holding both hands flat, with thumbs extended 60 degrees from the fingers. Place the tips of the thumbs together and the tips of the fingers together. This will form a triangle, with the thumbs as the baseline and the fingers forming the outside. So, basically, like this. We have the triangle of manifestation. Just like we do with psychic protection, you visualize that pentagram and then push it away. So, psychic protection, pentagram, push it away. So, now you're going to hold up this triangle of manifestation so that you can see the moon surrounded by the triangle. If you are in a place where you cannot see the moon, visualize it within the triangle. In a short time, there will seem to be two moons. The real or visualized moon will have a second moon next to it. It will appear slightly to the side or out of phase with the original moon. The second moon is the essence of the moon's magical power. So it is possible that you may not be able to see the second moon, but knowing that it is there will suffice. So step 3. Now you must do two things at once. While concentrating on that second moon, slowly bring your hands down toward the object you are using for the talisman. Try to keep the second moon's image within the triangle, or know that it is there, and in your mind, repeat over and over mentally a single word or short phrase which best represents the purpose of the talisman. As an example, the word health could be used to represent, I wish to get over this cold and regain my health. Limit any phrase to no more than 4 words. So, as you do these things, bring your hands together, or bring your hands over, then down around the talisman. So the goal is to surround the talisman with the triangle formed by your hands, the energy of the moon, impregnated by your will for the purpose of the talisman, is now joining with the object. So, in a few seconds, you should experience a new sensation. Some people describe it as a sudden lightness in the hands. Others describe it as a rush of energy or a snapping sensation in the hands. Everyone experiences this sensation somewhat differently, so he says, I can't give an exact description. However, as soon as you experience the change, clap your hands or snap your fingers as you separate your hands and say, it is done. So, what has happened here is that the energies of the moon mixed with your will have moved into the object, empowering your talisman, and it is now charged and operative. So, now, step 4, to finish the ritual, in your own words, thank the powers of the universe who have aided you in this ritual and bid them to depart their homes and habitations. When you achieve the goal of the talisman, the object needs to be discharged of any remaining energy. This can be done by holding it underwater or burying it as before. It can be reused as a talisman for another purpose. If possible, destroy the object by burning it to ash and getting rid of the ash in the air by throwing it, or into water, or just put it into a running water, or bury it where it will not be found. I like to bury my stuff. So you may have several talismans for the same purpose at one time. However, it's not a good idea to try to energize several talismans for different purposes at the same time or even during the same ritual. Focus on one thing at a time. Very true. When using a talisman, it's a good idea to keep it on you or near you. If you are making the talisman for someone else, tell him or her to keep the talisman on or near their body. Of course, you should ask the person's permission before making the talisman or giving it to him or her. So do not, however, tell the person the intricacies of the ritual and of the construction of the talisman. So tell the person to whom you give the talisman to destroy the object or return it to you once the talisman has achieved its purpose. So the subconscious mind does not think in negative, so don't make a talisman to stop smoking. You'll just smoke more. So rather make one to be free of smoking. No, I don't think so. So you may also wish to put a time limit on your talisman. If you're charging, have it planned to achieve its goal in 1 week or a month or by a certain date. Even if you do not achieve the goal by that date, be sure to purify or destroy the talisman at that time. Then wait 2 more weeks to see if a result is forthcoming. If not, analyze what you might have done wrong and start over. Chemicals under the same conditions always react with each other in the same way. So if they do not, the mistake was made by the experimenter. Likewise, magic always works. If not, you have made some error. Wow. Alright. So it is interesting to note that while scientists will readily accept the statement regarding chemicals, they will attempt to refute the similar statement regarding magic. In this case, logic is on our side, not theirs. I think science is catching up to an extent. So once you have charged your talisman, don't think about it. Your subconscious plays an important part in the magical process. So constantly bringing the aspect of the mind which connects us to the astral plane down to the physical world will lower the effectiveness of your magical work. So go back and reread the section on creative visualization. Be confident that your talisman is charged and will be effective. If you wish, you may recharge a talisman once a month without purifying the object, if you are charging it for the exact same purpose and goal. So, you can do charge guardians too. A small or large statue or an object art makes a wonderful protective amulet, technically called a guardian, for a house or an apartment. It should be recharged at least once every 6 months, although monthly would be better. Keep it by the front door. If you have several entryways in your home, use several small statues or even colorful rocks overlooking each entry. And that is amazing information. So, alright, tomorrow we will go over part 4, which is back to the Kabbalistic magic, and it will be getting very much into the Kabbalistic way of charging an amulet, all of that. So it's really actually a very, very short, nice ritual that you can actually use. Again, Modern Magic 2nd edition, 11 lessons in the high magical arts, by Donald Michael Craig. Very good book. So, alright guys, I hope you enjoy. So, yeah, I don't have time for a live today, so I will tomorrow. But I love you all, and if you guys are doing talismans, tell me. I want to know below. So, alright guys, I love you all very much with all my heart, all the way from Venus all the way back down. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. So, everybody be safe, stay cool, and yeah, I love you all, and thank you guys for watching.